In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
I'm like Tim. There are no words. That man wants you, America, to make him the commander-in-chief again. So in case you forgot, and we don't blame you, how did we get here? That answer is what you get in a presidential debate when the topic of immigration, that's where his mind started, we believe, comes up. When one candidate is surrounded by insane conspiracy theorists. There's someone named Laura Loomer. She was on the plane to the debate with Donald Trump. She spent the days before the debate with him spreading a baseless, debunked, and racist lie that Haitian immigrants are running around a town in Ohio, capturing, killing, and eating Americans' family pets, which Donald Trump then took to the stage and spread. Joining our conversation, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, the Rev, and Tim are still here. So I have covered the Trump story every day. It's been my privilege for 9 years. I haven't gained the skill set to cover this one, so I will just ask you, Congressman, what is this?
People should check on their pets, Nicole. The pets aren't okay. They're a little terrified by the madness they heard last night. Children were asking their parents. A lot of my friends were texting me saying, well, I had to have a conversation with my son last night about why this guy is running for president, because he didn't sound like someone who was running for president. But the truth is, and I've known Kamala for 20 years, she looked strong, she looked tough, and she had a vision for America. She knows where she wants to take the country and how she wants to help. Donald Trump, yes, he's almost 80, but he looked like he was 180. His shoulders were caved in. He never made eye contact with Kamala. Meanwhile, she made eye contact with Donald Trump the whole night. And Nicole, I'm sure in part that was because she wanted to make sure that her ears were matching what her eyes were seeing and hearing, because what he was saying was just absolutely batty. And when you put all this together, though, it wasn't just a bad debate performance, and we'll talk about why that matters. His ideas, when he was able to even articulate them, were much, much worse.
Well, and Congressman, I think people who've been covering him for 9 years struggle to illustrate how much worse the second term would be. And we have the plans in Project 2025 to illustrate it. But one of the things that people who've covered him for a long time point to is the people around him have changed. They went from the best people who were never very good to the absolute worst people. And this conspiracy theory was spread by someone named Laura Loomer, and it came out of his mouth last night, winning him no votes, scaring people, anyone with a dog or a cat. But it came out of his mouth because he believes such odious and racist things about migrants and asylum seekers and immigrants. It has a tether to a core belief of his. Just talk about what his core beliefs in the hands of people like Laura Loomer would mean if he were elected.
I believe that it means it's going to be a mean presidency. It's going to be all about Donald Trump and the way that he carries out his policies, like government-mandated pregnancies. It's going to be cruel. It's going to be mean. And as it was this morning, it's going to be memed. He is a mean president. He's not serious. And he stood on the stage next to somebody who's strong, who's tough, who's serious. And I think the most important takeaway for most Americans who may never have, seen Kamala Harris, for that long of a period of time is this person, Kamala Harris, can be president, and then reminded why Donald Trump cannot be president.
Tim Miller, your thoughts on how he's now connecting his most dangerous impulses with some of the most dangerous conspiracy theorists the planet's ever known?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to laugh about. Me and Congressman Swalwell, I'm sure, can text and make jokes about the eating dog thing. But I do want to focus on the serious part of this for a second. And because, unfortunately, I live in the muck and the mire, and I know the origin stories of all this stuff. Like, what this is, who Laura Loomer is, who was with him on the plane on the way to debate. This is a woman who is an unapologetic Islamophobe, who has said at one point that she wanted there to be, a white white nation state, something to that effect. She's advanced a ton of racist conspiracy theories. There's a whole network of people out there like her. She just happened to be the one on his plane. And what underlined this whole people eat dogs thing yesterday was a racist conspiracy targeting Haitian immigrants that were moving to a town in Springfield because there were jobs there, because there's increasing manufacturing capacity now in America thanks to what's been happening under this administration. There's been an influx of Haitian migrants into this community, and there's this racist conspiracy theory came up that I guess they're eating animals, because there was a story where somebody said to somebody that in another town 100 miles away that somebody had taken a cat, and it wasn't even a Haitian migrant. And the whole thing is just flat racist. And it stemmed out of like this really tragic story in Springfield where a young boy, Aiden Gray, was killed in a traffic accident by an actual Haitian migrant. But it was one time. And his dad, I saw this thing from his dad today that really moved me. His dad spoke out and said, "Stop doing this. Stop politicizing my child. We do not want you to use this one horrible accident as a way to smear this whole group of people in national television based on nothing, based on this horrible lie." And that is horrible in itself. But the fact that the people that advance these lies, they're not in the basement, they're not on Reddit, they're not on 4chan, they're on Donald Trump's plane. And if he wins again, the people that are advancing these racist conspiracies are going to be the ones making policy for the country.